Hello guys and welcome to my video lecture. Our topic for today is DNA fingerprinting. Okay, and this is the last part of the 12th standard chapter, molecular basis of inheritance. So let us start with that. Okay, so now since we have come to the end of this chapter, most of you now know what genes are. Genes are nucleotide sequences present in the DNA, correct? And through Human Genome Project, we have come to know that there are approximately 33,000 genes present in each and every human being. Now, so what happens is the genes present in a child are the sequence of genes present, order of genes. Okay, that is different in a child compared to the parents. Why? Because you know that in parents during gamete formation there is meiosis. Okay, and because of meiosis, what happens is there is something called as crossing over. And during crossing over, the genes are exchanged, and the gene sequence will change. And also during gamete formation, what happens is many random mutations occur, and you know what happens in mutations, the nucleotide sequence definitely changes, addition, deletion, inversion, all that happens. So because of all these reasons, the gene sequence in the DNA of a child is never exactly the same as the sequence of genes in the parents. Okay, so everybody knows that. Now let me tell you one thing, that 99.9% sequences which are present, okay, 99.9% sequences which are present, those 99.9% gene sequences in all the human beings are same. Okay, so what does that mean is, that means that all of us, all the human beings are having gene sequences which are same. Okay, 99.9% of our DNA is having gene sequences which is same in all of us. However, 0.1% of gene sequences in all of us is different. That means there is a sequence which is different in me, which is different in you, and which is going to be different in everybody else. So please remember this, all the genes are not in the exact same sequence in all human beings. Only 99.9% sequence of genes is same. I hope you understand what is sequence. Sequence means order of the gene. For example, if A, B, C, D, E are 5 genes, then the sequence is like A, B, C, D, E. And if that is same in me, in you, and everybody else, that means it falls under that 99.9%. However, there will be certain sequences which will be present only in me, in you it will be something else, in somebody else it will be totally different. Okay, and that is only 0.1%. Are you getting me? And because of this, what happens is, there is something which can be formed which is called as a DNA fingerprint. Okay, so with that we come to the word which is called as a DNA fingerprint. So everybody knows what a thumbprint is, okay, and you know that no two people can have the same thumbprint. All the people have a different thumbprint. Similarly, no two people can have the same DNA fingerprint. What is a fingerprint? A DNA fingerprint is basically the sequence of all the genes present on the DNA. Simple. So if I take my DNA fingerprint, that means it shows the sequence of all the genes present on my DNA. If it is your DNA fingerprint, it will show you the sequence of genes on your DNA. So will my entire sequence be same as your entire sequence? No. Why? Because 0.1% sequence will be different in me and it will be different in you. So entire sequence can never be the same. So that is why my DNA fingerprint will always be different from the DNA fingerprints of everybody else. Are you getting me? And that is why we say that DNA fingerprint, like a thumb fingerprint, is unique for every person. Now DNA fingerprinting is also called as DNA profiling. This is just another term for the same thing. So DNA profiling is the same thing as DNA fingerprinting. Are you clear with this? Okay, so this DNA fingerprinting, we are going to learn how we do this DNA fingerprinting. Okay, the method used for DNA fingerprinting is called as DNA restriction analysis. This is the name of the method used for obtaining a DNA fingerprint. Okay, now don't think much about this. We are going to study this in detail later on. So DNA restriction analysis is the method to obtain a DNA fingerprint. And what is a fingerprint? Fingerprint is the order of genes in the DNA of that particular person, which is not going to be the same with any other person. How much of it is same? 99.9. How much is different? 0.1. But only because of that 0.1 each person is having a different DNA fingerprint. Is this clear? Okay. Now this sequence which is there, okay, this sequence which is 0.1%, these sequences are called as VNTRs. Okay, and what is the full form of VNTRs? They are also called as variable number of tandem repeats. Okay, now how will you understand what is a VNTR? So for that we'll do one thing, we'll draw a simple DNA. Okay, so suppose this is my DNA strand. Okay, I'm not drawing a double stranded DNA. It is understood it is double stranded. I'm just drawing a single strand. Suppose in me the VNTR sequence is suppose AGG. See, normally a VNTR sequence is a sequence which is having 20 to 100 nucleotides. Okay, one sequence can have 20 to 100 nucleotides, but here obviously I don't have so much space, so I will say suppose my sequence is AAG. Now this sequence will keep on repeating in my DNA randomly. There is no particular rule that this sequence will come only in this part, so it can repeat anywhere. So I am just writing AAG, correct, and in between will be present the nucleotides. Okay, this sequence which I am showing in green, I am not writing, I am just drawing a dash. That sequence will be same in me and it will be in you. So that is the remaining 99.9%. Suppose if I draw your DNA, suppose in you the VNTR sequence is CCA. Again I will draw CCA. Again in you what is going to happen is in between the sequences which are present are the sequences common with me. So do you understand what is happening is that 0.1% sequence which is there, it is repeating itself randomly in your DNA, also in my DNA. The only difference is my sequence is different, your sequence is different. Apart from that, all the other gene sequences are same in me and you. Now what is VNTR? See, I told you the full form. The full form is variable number of tandem repeats. Variable number means what? These sequences, they can vary in number. They can be 100, they can be 90, they can be 60, 70, any number. No rule that they have to be this many in number. Tandem repeats, tandem is random, occurring anytime. Repeats means it is repeating. So these sequences which are repeating randomly with any number, they are called as variable number of tandem repeats. So you can see VNTR, and this is because repeats. Are you getting what is VNTR? These are the sequences which are different in different people. No two people will have the same VNTR. My VNTR will be different, your VNTR will be different. It is forming a very small part of your DNA, only 0.1%, but that sequence is different in everybody. Okay, and that is why it is called variable number, because the repeat numbers you don't know, it can be anything, and because they are occurring randomly or tandemly, they are called tandem repeat. They are repeating. Is this clear? So is this concept of VNTR clear? Okay, is this gene concept clear? DNA fingerprinting, DNA profiling clear? Okay, now let us start with the next part, which is steps of DNA fingerprinting. Okay, so I will just rub this off. Okay, this is a very important part. A lot of questions are asked on this part. Okay, please pay attention. This part is easy if you understand it. Don't try to by heart it or mug it up, because that is not going to be possible. Okay, you can't remember by mugging it up. So now let us start with that. So I'm going to give the heading steps of DNA. I'll just scroll this. Fingerprinting or profiling, because it's the same thing. There are 7 steps. We'll start. Okay, now what is DNA fingerprint? Before we start with these steps, I will tell you. One of the applications of DNA fingerprinting is in crime scenes. If you see, okay, so many of the shows on the television, crime related, if you see them. So one example I'll give. Suppose a murder has occurred at some place, okay, and there are 7 suspects, okay, and out of those 7 somebody has done the murder, but the police don't know who has done the murder. Then how will they catch him? They will catch him with the help of DNA fingerprinting. So you must have seen in these shows that what they do is, those people go and from the crime scene they collect evidence like hair or skin or blood. So what they are trying to do is, if you take the hair, what they will do is they will take that hair and they will do DNA fingerprinting of that hair. So hair is a part of the body, hair cells will have DNA, and in that DNA will be that gene sequence, correct? And in that gene sequence will be present the VNTR of that person, correct? Because VNTR is also a sequence which is repeated. Now they will take that VNTR. Now what they will do is they will take the DNA fingerprint of those 7 suspects, correct? Now tell me, the DNA fingerprint of the hair will match only with one from the suspects, because one of those people, उनका ही hair है वो जो वहां पे गिर गया है ना, while creating the crime, obviously. So it has to match, and that person whose fingerprint matches with the fingerprint of the hair, obviously that hair is of that person. Are you getting me? So basically DNA fingerprint helps in forensic science, crime related science. Other applications are there which we'll study later. Okay, so how this DNA fingerprinting is done, how that gene sequence is obtained, that we are going to study now. Steps. There are 7 steps. Now the first step of DNA fingerprinting is isolation of DNA. Okay, what is isolation of DNA? Very simple. You have to remove the DNA from the sample. Now if it is a hair sample, so you cannot use the entire hair. You have to remove the DNA from the hair. So for that you have to use chemicals. So you put that hair, you must have seen they put it in a test tube, then they add chemicals, they mix it. What happens is the DNA from that hair is removed, everything else gets degenerated. So that is the first step, isolation of DNA. So you don't have to remember what chemicals are used, you just need to remember the step. First step is take the sample. So sample can be anything, hair, blood, skin cells, okay, any part of the body you can take as a sample. Obviously it has to be there at the crime scene. Okay, are you understanding? Okay, so that is isolation of DNA from the sample. You remove the DNA. Now what you need to do is, second step is called as restriction digestion. Now pay attention. Now you have got the entire DNA present in that hair, correct, from the hair cell, but do you need the entire DNA? You need only the VNTR in that DNA, no? Because rest of the sequence is anyway going to be the same. You want to match the VNTR of the hair with the VNTR of one of those 7 people, correct? The VNTR should be exactly the same, so you can say that this hair has come from that person. So for that you need only VNTR. You don't need the remaining DNA, because DNA molecule is very long, you know that. So you need to cut the DNA into smaller parts. Are you getting me? So suppose if this is your DNA, then this DNA you need to cut into smaller parts, and only in the part which will have the VNTR I will take it out and do further investigation. All the remaining parts are the sequences which are same, that you cannot take for comparison, because that sequence will be same in everybody else. So restriction digestion is the process in which we use enzymes which are called as restriction enzymes, and restriction enzymes are the enzymes which cut the DNA into smaller parts. Are you getting me? And normally these parts, all these parts have different lengths. So actually if you want to see, this is your double stranded DNA. I am not showing the polarity 5 prime 3 prime, and after using these restriction enzymes you get these fragments or these parts which are all having different lengths. All the parts will have different lengths. Okay, how restriction enzymes work, that we will learn in another chapter, biotechnology. Right now if I try to teach you that, it will become too complicated. So right now just remember, restriction enzymes are the enzymes which cut the DNA. So they also cut RNA also, but here we are dealing with DNA. So they cut the DNA at specific parts into smaller parts which are called fragments. So these are fragments. Okay, all these smaller parts are called fragment, 1 2 3, and all the fragments will have different lengths, and that is why these fragments having different lengths which are cut using restriction enzymes, they are also called as RFLP. Full form is restriction, okay, fragment length polymorphism. Now what is restriction fragment length polymorphism? Again, word by word, let us study it. Restriction fragments are these DNA fragments which are formed because of action of restriction enzymes. Restriction enzymes are forming these smaller pieces. Now they are cutting the DNA. So these are called as restriction fragments. Length polymorphism means poly is many, morphism is structure, many structure, length, so many different lengths. Are you getting me? So restriction fragment length polymorphism means that many different DNA fragments are formed due to action of restriction enzymes, and each one of them is having a different length, and this is called as restriction fragment length polymorphism. Fragment produced due to restriction enzymes having different lengths. Is this clear? So two full forms, two short forms we have learned, VNTR, RFLP. Please understand them and write them. Don't by heart. You cannot by heart biology 12th standard. Please remember, it is too vast. So try to understand, and I hope this is clear. This is the second step. So in second step, what we have done, in second step, the DNA sample which we had, we have cut that out. Why have we cut that out? Because we want only the part which has the VNTR. Suppose if this part has VNTR, okay, then I will only take this part, rest I will discard. But right now see, I am doing all this in a test tube, so I don't know. So see, I took the DNA, I took the sample here, I put it, I added chemicals. What happened? DNA came out. Then in that same solution I added restriction enzyme. Restriction enzyme broke the DNA into smaller fragments. In that same tube I am having fragments, but can I see that? No. Can you see DNA with your eye? No. So all that is happening in the test tube, you cannot see it. Please remember this. Now what I need to do is, I need the fragment with the VNTR. All the fragments, suppose if this has VNTR, this has VNTR, that sequence which is present, then I want only those VNTRs. But right now I am having a mixture of fragments, so I want to separate the fragments. Are you getting? And to separate the fragments, what I will do is, step number 3 of DNA fingerprinting is called as gel electrophoresis. Okay, so I'm going to write over here, that is the third step of DNA fingerprinting, which is called as gel electrophoresis. Now first of all those people who have not heard of the word electrophoresis, electro is applying an electric current, phoresis is separation. Separation of a mixture of substances by applying electric current is called electrophoresis. Okay, here we are separating a mixture of DNA fragments. So you have got all those DNA fragments in that liquid, you want to separate them. So you are separating them out with the help of electrical current. Why gel? Because you are going to separate them out in a gel. Gel, you know, jelly which you eat, similar type of a gel is present. You separate the fragments in that gel using electric current, so it is called gel electrophoresis. Now how this gel electrophoresis is there, electrophoresis unit is there, simple explanation I will give to you. Okay, I will just show a simple diagram. Again, I can make a separate lecture on this topic, even on restriction digestion I can make, but all that is not there, so I don't want to confuse you. Now just imagine that there is a plate, there is an apparatus. Okay, so there is a tray. Okay, just imagine a tray. Inside that tray there is liquid present. Okay, and that liquid is having salt because it has to conduct electricity. Salt water is a good conductor of electricity. And there is a tray. Okay, and in that salt water you are keeping a gel. Okay, now gel I am going to draw so that you don't get confused. I am going to draw blue colored gel. So just imagine I am going to draw a three-dimensional gel so that it becomes slightly easy for you. Okay, so this is your gel. Okay, and this gel is kept in a tray having water with salts. Okay, so just imagine that this is your tray, this yellow colored thing. Okay, this is your tray, and in that tray, okay, I'll use green color. This is the liquid which I am showing as dots. Okay, so I hope you can understand that yellow colored tray is having liquid, salty liquid to carry electric current, and in that I have kept this gel. Now what I will do is that mixture which I had in the test tube, okay, that mixture had got all those restriction fragments, these small fragments were present. Okay, so those fragments, what I will do is I will put them inside the gel. So normally what is done is some apparatus is used and that mixture of fragments is put inside the gel. So now I am again going to change the color of the fragments. I am going to use orange color, so don't get confused. And what I will do is I will load that mixture of DNA fragments over here. This orange colored part is the DNA fragment. So that liquid I have inserted inside the gel. Are you getting this point? Okay, now what I want to do is I want to separate the fragments. Now this electrophoresis unit which is present, that tray which is present, it has got two terminals. Okay, negative terminal cathode, positive terminal anode. Now you know DNA is negatively charged, so negatively charged DNA will always move towards the positive end. So how will I arrange this? I will put the end of the gel which is having that fragment wala sample inside it towards the negative part. So this part I will connect it to the negative terminal or negative supply, and this part I will connect it to the anode or the positive supply, and the electric current will flow. Okay, and this electric current will flow in the tray, in the liquid, and through the gel. Now what will happen is, because of the electric current, this DNA sample, this DNA negatively charged, it begins to move towards the positive charge, so it begins to move towards the right side. And as it begins to move towards the right side, what happens is the fragments, based on their shape, they get separated. So you will say, how will they get separated? Very simple. We have seen that the fragments are of different size. Imagine these are the fragments. This is one fragment, this is other fragment, this is another fragment, and this is another fragment. Suppose these are four fragments. How will they get separated? Which fragment do you think will move the farthest? Obviously the one which is smallest, because it is lighter. So lighter means it will move faster. So what will happen is your lighter fragment will move the farthest, then your second lightest, then your third lightest, and your heaviest will remain behind because it will take time to move. And this movement is occurring inside the gel, I hope, because that main sample you have loaded inside the gel. You will say how it will move, because gel is having very small pores and DNA is very small, so it passes through the pores. So this separation of fragments with the help of electric current is called electrophoresis. You are using gel, so it is called gel electrophoresis. So now we have separated the fragments, correct? Why have you separated them? Because you wanted the fragments only having VNTR. Please remember this. Okay, here I have only shown 4 fragments. There are thousands of fragments, but in diagram I cannot show 1000 fragments. So I have separated them because I wanted only the DNA fragments having the VNTR, because only that is going to confirm who is the suspect. Correct? Now, gel electrophoresis after all the bands have separated. Correct? So now we will see how will you know that the bands have separated. You cannot see these DNA bands, so there is a specific time. Normally it is done for half an hour or 1 hour, so there is a protocol, and after that the gel, the electric current is stopped, the gel is removed from the tray. Okay, so when the gel is removed from the tray, so I am going to rub everything else off. Now I only have the gel, and on the gel all the fragments have separated. I hope you have understood this part. I hope everybody has understood why the fragments have separated. They have separated based on the size, and also each fragment has different conductivity. So depending on that, the lightest will move farther right and the heaviest will remain towards the negative terminal. Is this clear? Okay. Now, after gel electrophoresis is done, the gel is removed. Okay, and you have all of them separated. I told you you cannot see all this, so there is a specific time you have to pass the current till that time. Now your third step is over. Fourth step is called as Southern blotting. I hope you have understood why we have separated this. We want the VNTR wala fragment, that is why we have separated all of them. Okay, see, slowly we are going to find that VNTR wala fragment. Now step number 4. Okay, so I will write it down over here. Fourth step is called as Southern blotting. Now what is the meaning of Southern blotting? Blotting, are you aware of blotting, phenomena called as blotting? Very simple example of blotting is, take a drop of water or ink or any liquid, put it on your table, and on top of it put a tissue paper. What will happen is that liquid will travel into the tissue paper against gravity. How? Because of capillary action, blotting action. Same thing we are going to do over here. We are going to take a blotting paper and we are going to keep it on top of this gel, because what we want to do is we want to transfer these fragments from the gel onto that blotting paper, and that technique is called as Southern blotting. Now Southern is not related to east, west, north, south. It is just the name of the technique, Southern blotting. Are you getting me? Now the blotting paper which is used in this Southern blotting technique, this blotting paper is called as a nitrocellulose membrane. Are you getting this? Okay, so now what we are going to do is, this gel we have taken out, electrophoresis is over, the bands have separated. Now on top of that gel I am going to put a thin blotting paper. It is just like a tissue paper, and that paper is made up of nitrocellulose material. Cellulose, you know, it is a polysaccharide. So nitrocellulose membrane is a thin blotting paper which is used, and this paper we are going to keep it on top of this. Okay, so if you want to see it in this diagram, I will show it to you like this. Green color I am showing. Okay, so see this. This is your blotting paper. I have kept it on top. Okay, and you have seen a tissue paper, it has got small pores in it, so I am showing small pores in this. So this is your nitrocellulose membrane, you have kept it on top of the gel. Now what you want to do, you want to transfer the fragments from the gel into the blotting paper. How will you do that? Very simple. You take that gel, you put it in another container. So again, one more container. So I am going to show you a container over here. This is the container. In that container you will add liquid. Okay, so liquid will be present. Now that liquid will by capillary action enter the gel in the upward direction. Correct? And as that liquid goes up, what will it do is it will take the DNA fragments with it, and that liquid will take the DNA fragments, and soon those DNA fragments will be present over here. Are you getting me on the membrane? But please remember, there is one step which is very very important before you do this Southern blotting. Okay, so let me rub this off, or let me draw this diagram over here itself. Now this was your gel. Now I'm not drawing a 3D gel. This was your gel, correct? And this gel was having those fragments which were all double stranded. Now before doing this Southern blotting, we need to make one thing sure is that these are not all double stranded. We need to break the bonds and we need to make them single stranded. So what happens is, after gel electrophoresis third step is completed, dilute NaOH or dilute alkali is added. Now alkali helps in breaking the hydrogen bonds and all the double strands will be broken into single strands. So what is going to happen is, this will appear like this, because now double stranded have been broken down and they will not re-anneal or re-ligate or reattach. Now why we are doing this, I will tell you that later. So please remember, in gel electrophoresis, after the gel is ready, after the separation has occurred, dilute alkali or dilute NaOH or any dilute base is added so that it breaks the double stranded DNA into single stranded, correct? And after that this Southern blotting is done. So what will happen in Southern blotting? So once again, let me again draw this. Okay, so this is your nitrocellulose membrane. Okay, and now since that orange color is not visible, your DNA strands will appear like this. I hope you can see this blue color. These are your single stranded DNA strands which have come into the nitrocellulose membrane because of that blotting effect. So in this fourth step, you just remember nitrocellulose membrane, and because of capillary action, the liquid will take the DNA fragment single stranded from the gel into the membrane. Now your gel is not required, you throw away the gel and you have your nitrocellulose membrane. So I'm going to rub this off. Okay, is this clear? This step I am going to write here. So fourth step is Southern blotting. Is that step clear? Okay, so now you have your nitrocellulose membrane which is over here, correct? And on the nitrocellulose membrane you have those single stranded DNA fragments. Why single stranded? Because you have added alkali to it. Please remember, alkali is added before Southern blotting, after gel electrophoresis is complete, because on the blotting paper you cannot add alkali and separate, that will not happen. Okay, so you have this. Now what you want to do, suppose if I tell you that the VNTR is present on this fragment and it is present on this fragment, so you need these two fragments VNTR के लिए, बाकी कोई काम के नहीं है. So how will you identify which fragments have VNTR? Because all this is happening in test tubes and everything, you can't even see what is happening. So how will you identify? Very simple. Suppose if I say that this VNTR has got sequence AAA, similarly this VNTR has got sequence AAA, this single stranded ones. If I want to detect them, can I use a probe? If I use a radioactive sequence I can always trace where it is going. So suppose if I take a radioactive sequence of say TTT, and if I put it over here, what will happen is this TTT will attach with this AAA and it will bind. And because this TTT sequence is radioactive, I can always see where it is, and wherever it is attached, that means I know that VNTRs are present over there. Are you getting my point? So you can use X-ray to do that. So step number 5 is called as selection of DNA probe. What do you mean by DNA probe? A DNA probe is the sequence which is going to be complementary to your VNTR. So complementary to the VNTR means if your VNTR is AAA, your probe will be TTT. If the VNTR is ACC, your probe will be TGG. Are you getting me? Why you are doing that? So that it will go and attach to that, and wherever the probe is, you can identify the probe because वो radioactive है, it shows fluorescence. So wherever it gets attached, you will see that those bands are shining. For example, if the probe attaches here and here, these two bands will shine. So when you look at that after the X-raying is done, if you look at that, you will see those two bands which are glowing more. So you know the VNT are over there. So is this clear? Selection clear? Selection is always going to be complementary DNA. So now you will say if your VNTR is AAA, you need a probe which is TTT. Where will you get this TTT from? कहाँ से मिलेगा? So normally when you want DNA for probes, there is a method which is called as cDNA method. Okay, I will write it down over here. It is written as complementary DNA. Okay, I should write it properly so that you understand. Small c, capital DNA. This is complementary DNA. And this method is a method in which you produce DNA from RNA. So I have RNA with me and I prepare a DNA. So if I have DNA, I prepare RNA from it, it is called transcription. If I have RNA, I prepare DNA from it, it is called reverse transcription. So by using reverse transcription, I will prepare a DNA. So very simple. If I want TTT, what I will do is I will use RNA, which is AAA. Reverse transcription DNA produced will be TTT. This DNA I will take and I will use it as a probe. Or if you have ready-made TTT sequence, you can take it and use it. Okay, so this is given in your book, this cDNA thing. So please remember, complementary DNA is a DNA which is formed from RNA by using reverse transcription. So you have to basically produce the radioactive probe. Now very simple. You have your probe. You have the fragments which are separated on the nitrocellulose membrane, correct? So let me label that membrane here so that people don't get confused. This is your nitrocellulose membrane. And what are all these? These are your, these are your single stranded DNA fragments. All these, correct? Step number 6 is called hybridization. This is the second last step. What happens in hybridization? Now very simple. So what happens is in hybridization, what normally is done is this nitrocellulose membrane. Okay, now you take this membrane. It is like a paper, and on that the fragments are present. You take it and you put it in a container having all those DNA probes. So again, just imagine this is your container, yellow colored. Okay, and this yellow colored container is filled with a liquid containing the probes. So I am not going to add only a single probe. Okay, this entire liquid will be having many sequences of only TTT. Please remember, only TTT. So this liquid is the liquid having DNA probes which are radioactive. Now what I will do, in this container having this liquid, I will put this nitrocellulose membrane. So I am going to show it over here. When I put the nitrocellulose membrane in this liquid, it will get completely immersed. Okay, and I am already having these DNA fragments which are present. What is going to happen is this TTT probes will attach to the VNTRs which are AAA. So here it will be double stranded, here it will be double stranded, and remaining all will remain single stranded. Are you understanding? It is very important to know that these single stranded, you will say that these and these are also complementary. Then why are they not sticking? No, they cannot stick. Once they are separated, they are separated. Nitrocellulose membrane will not allow the complementary fragments inside the membrane to attach. From outside somebody can come and attach. So probes will attach. So this is double stranded, you can see. This is double stranded, you can see. All the remaining are single stranded because they are having different sequences. To that TTT will not attach. Now very simple. So again, that nitrocellulose membrane is kept in that probe material for some time, say 1 hour. After 1 hour it will be removed, and now you want to see all this. All this is not visible to you. Last step is called as photography. Actually this step is also called as autoradiography. Okay, so autoradiography or photography. Last step, what you do is you take this nitrocellulose membrane, put it in an X-ray machine, and an X-ray film comes out. Have you seen an X-ray film? So the X-ray film will be something like this. Okay, so just imagine that. So I will use a white color for this. Okay, so what will happen is this nitrocellulose membrane, you take it out from that container. Okay, you put it in an X-ray machine. X-ray machine will produce an X-ray, and that X-ray will look like this. Just see over here. This is your X-ray, and this area and this area will be highlighted because they are glowing. Why are they glowing? Because they have got the probes. So you know that your VNTRs are present over here and here. Are you getting this? All the remaining single stranded DNA fragments will not be highlighted because they are not having probes. Now you realize why after gel electrophoresis we break the double stranded DNA fragment into single. Because if we do not break the double stranded DNA fragments, the probes will not be able to attach, because a DNA fragment can only attach to another single stranded DNA only, not double stranded. So this X-ray film which you get, this is your DNA fingerprint. Have you got these 7 steps? So after doing these 7 steps, you will get an X-ray film where the bands will be highlighted, and those are the areas where your VNTRs are present. Now very simple, you do this same steps for 7 people, so you will get 7 X-ray films. The X-ray film which matches exactly with this X-ray film means that the VNTR of the hair and VNTR of that person is the same. That means if the VNTRs are same, the hair belongs to that same person. So if the hair belongs to that same person, that person was there during the crime, so most likely that person has done the crime. So it will be proved by DNA fingerprinting that that person is the culprit. Are you getting this? So I hope these 7 steps are clear. Okay, this last step of creating an X-ray film is called autoradiography, and only for that purpose we use radioactive probe. If we do not use radioactive probes, we will not get these X-ray bands. Okay, and I hope you have understood what happens to these other single stranded fragments. Nothing, they remain like that. They do not show anything on the X-ray film. So on the X-ray film you can see the VNTRs. Okay, so the 7 steps, once again: isolation of DNA from the sample, you remove DNA. Next, you cut the DNA using restriction enzymes into different fragments. They are called restriction fragment length polymorphism because each one is having different length, and they are cut using restriction enzyme. Then you want to separate the mixture, so you use gel electrophoresis. In gel electrophoresis, you load the mixture into the gel, pass electric current, DNA moves from negative to positive. The heaviest one will move slowly, lightest one will move furthest away. All the fragments will be separated. Then you remove the gel. Next step is Southern blotting, but before Southern blotting you add dilute NaOH so that the double stranded DNA fragments are broken into single stranded. Then Southern blotting, you add a membrane, nitrocellulose membrane, on top of the gel, and you allow it to blot. So that liquid, Southern blotting technique, that liquid will carry the fragments from the gel to the nitrocellulose membrane. See, you cannot keep the gel in the X-ray machine, that is a problem. Otherwise you would have not done Southern blotting directly, gel only you would have kept. Okay, and the other thing is binding cannot happen inside the gel. DNA probe cannot go and bind to the complementary DNA in the gel. That is why you require that nitrocellulose membrane, and that is why Southern blotting is there. Then next step is selection of probe. Very simple. You know VNTR sequence, you produce a complementary DNA which is a probe, you make it radioactive. Normally probes are produced using cADNA method, complementary DNA from RNA. Then what you do, once the probes are ready, you keep the probes in a liquid in a container. Same. So in that probe, in that step of DNA probe, all the probe sequences are same. So if the VNTR is AAA, all the probes will be TTT. Next is hybridization. Hybridization means you take the nitrocellulose membrane, put it in the container having probes. The 2 complementary sequences will bind. So the probe will go and bind to the nitrocellulose membrane. Wherever it will bind, that is the position of the VNTR. But you want to see all this, now you cannot see all this. So for that you take the nitrocellulose membrane out, put it in an X-ray machine, X-ray film will be created, and wherever the probe is present, that area will be glowing, so you know the VNTR is there. So this X-ray film you have of the hair. Same steps you take. So those 7 people, you can take DNA sample from anything, blood, hair, skin cell, anything. You will get 7 such X-ray films, but one will match with this hair exactly. So that means the VNTR is same and DNA fingerprinting is done. Simple. So I hope this is clear. I hope the 7 steps are clear. Diagram is given in the book. Okay, I have drawn to make sure that you understand. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Last part of this topic is applications of DNA fingerprinting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the applications over here. Oh, we are running out of space, it seems. Oh, we still have space. Good. So applications of DNA fingerprinting. 3 applications. Very simple. First application, crime scenes. So the science involved with all that is called as forensic science. So it is used in forensic science. Okay, so the best example, I taught you how the samples are used to obtain DNA fingerprints. Second application is in paternity cases. Paternity cases are the cases in which there is a fight. Suppose a woman is there, okay, and a woman says that there are 2 people who are claiming to be the father of that person. Okay, there is one real father and there is one fraud father. So how does the court decide who is the real father? Very simple. Take DNA fingerprinting. See, now you will say ki, but the VNTR will not match with the VNTR of the child because VNTRs are different. But still, the father and the son will have more similar sequences compared to the person who is not the father. So you take the child's DNA fingerprint, you take the 2 fathers DNA fingerprint, and the person जिसका fingerprint ज़्यादा child के साथ match होता है, that person is a father. So that is called as paternity disputes, paternity or maternity disputes, cases involving who is the real mother, who is the real father. Okay, so paternity, father related, or maternity disputes. And the last application is in pedigree analysis. Okay, so for pedigree analysis is basically, so pedigree analysis is a chart, pedigree chart is there, in which they show the crosses, a male and the female, cross between them, then their children, then the children when they are getting married, the cross. So that entire chart is called as pedigree chart. Okay, so pedigree analysis, for that also DNA fingerprinting is done. So it is also used in pedigree analysis of many animals and even humans. So these are the 3 applications of DNA fingerprinting, and here we have completed the entire chapter of molecular basis of inheritance. So if you have any doubts, please let me know. You can comment below the video, or you can message me, you can call me up. Okay, and that is the end of this part. Okay, thank you.